What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Paint Points. It's that man, Abu. It's Brother Man. And today we got a little video on the coordinator being changed for the Colorado Buffaloes, man. Like, we knew this change needed to happen a whole lot sooner, but we're not here to complain about shit. We're just here to react to some shit. So shout out the Buff, shout out Coach Prime for actually making this move and understanding this move is something that needed to be made, man. You know what I'm saying? When you look at Coach Prime and his coaches that he's had since he's been at Colorado, you can tell that his coaches ain't on the same time that he is. So how do you hire? Look, hey, there's nothing wrong with a yin and yang relationship. There's nothing wrong with having, different contrasting styles, different contrasting ideologies in the same room. But these guys had to do one thing. They had to be comfortable with the camera, man. They gotta be comfortable with being on the spotlight. They gotta be comfortable with the pressure that come with coaching under a guy like Deion Sanders. If you got all that pressure as a D coordinator, as an offensive coordinator, what you think the big man, what you think Deion, what kind of pressure he got? You dig what I'm saying? So that's what really got me with the whole, Deion regime while he's been at Colorado, is that I don't feel like he's hired guys in those top roles that really fit his same vision, you know what I'm saying, for what he sees for this team moving forward. So, I know this happened a couple of days ago, whatever, but we're going to check it out, give you some insight on what I believe about, Coach Rob Livingston. If you ask me, he's a good guy, but not the right man for the job. He's a good coach, but he's not the right man to be coaching at CU under Coach Sanders, man. And I just got to say it, how it is and how it looks and how I see it. He was never the right man for the job. Yeah, he came with, credentials. Yeah, he came with the knowledge that, y'all may have needed, but he probably could have came in as a consultant. Shit, pay that nigga consultant fees, god damn it. But he was never the man for the job, bro. And a lot of times, I don't want to talk about culture because you could get old white guys to come in on that timing. You know what I'm saying? You just gotta, I think you gotta be clear with a guy like Rob Livingston. Let him know that he could come in and he can remain himself, but he also gotta tune into another mode as well and turn it up a couple notches because the cameras are on, they never off, and it's time to go every time. You know what I'm saying? So let's check out, a little something that we saw about Rob Livingston. About him being a good man but not the right fit for CU. You know what I'm saying? So, Rob Livingston was widely, respected as a genuine, hard-working coach. Some players and staff consistently describe him as a good guy with good character. His move to the Denver Broncos as a D coordinator and secondary coach. He's the defensive pass game coordinator for the Broncos now, and a secondary coach for the Broncos. So he's no longer with the CU Buffs, as noted. But it does reflect on his reputation. It does reflect that, hey, he could bounce back and forth with the same respect. And to be honest, I think he actually was a pass game coordinator and secondary coach for the Bengals before he went to Colorado. You know what I'm saying? But Colorado under Deion Sanders is different. It's a different ecosystem. It's one where you must be comfortable being uncomfortable. The spotlight is relentless, like we said before. And, expectations are very high, and the cameras never turn off, like we said before. You know what I'm saying? The environment is loud, it's bright, it's pressure-packed everywhere you go. Imagine having the cameras on everywhere you go, man. You gotta, the camera's gonna see the real you, whether you shy away from it or not. So you gotta understand, coming into this role, Rob Livingston, that, a different you would have had to bring something else out of you than you brought before. You were expected to perform at a very high level, something that you may or not have been expected to perform at being a pass game coordinator for the Cincinnati Bengals at the time. Now being a D coordinator, that's the pressure, but being a D coordinator for the Colorado Buffaloes under Deion Sanders is an entirely different situation. So you gotta understand that. You gotta be able to command the room and the moment, and I feel like he never did that. You know what I'm saying? Him and Deion had that one spat on the sideline with Deion trying to cover Deion, bro. When Deion say the shit he be saying, like, bro, you think we stupid, man? We know y'all had an issue, whether y'all had an issue with personnel, fit, ideology, whatever, bro. We've been seeing it. We've been seeing the issues, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, me personally, I'm not an expert. I'm not a coach at that level, but you know, running at four linemen, at 4D linemen every single time basically is, I don't know, man. Blitzing was, very, very rare. You got to take some chances, man. That's what happens. A lot of these coaches come into these positions and they run plays where the players have to make a play, where, the D corner can never be blamed for a situation because it's like, all right, I called the right play for the right situation. But the ebbs and flows of the game, you might have should have called a different play. You might have should have called something that's going to put more pressure on that quarterback. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times when you call plays that put pressure on the quarterback, that means you're leaving, holes down the field. But if you call the right play and it gets to it, then it becomes the right play. And if it goes the other way where, goes badly, the D coordinator is then blamed for calling, stupid blitzes and not being able to, call situational plays in the right way. But, man, in order to be great, man, you got to take chances, man. You can't rely on your laurels. You can't just say, hey, let me call the right play and my player's going to do. Nah, you got to know the tendency of your players, man. You got to know, hey, my cornerback got about like 3 in him, man. I got to go ahead and, snap in and call this play to get him free. You got to understand what's going on. So when you look at Rob Livingston, he had a much quieter, steady demeanor. Simply didn't align with the Showtime nature of Colorado, man. And that could be seen from the jump. That doesn't diminish his coaching ability, like I said before, because as you can see, he got another job right away. It just means his strengths translate better to the NFL. You know what I'm saying? Where the environment is more controlled and the spotlight is shared upon everybody else. Now let's flip over to the new D coordinator, because I think that we made the right move when it comes to this. New D coordinator Chris Marr. Hey, I think he a problem, man, in a good way, man. I think he about to come out here and the way that he coaches, when I seen him speak to the team for the first time, introducing himself, I said, God damn, that's a head coach right there. And that's what I liked about Coach Prime too. I'm starting to see a lot of guys with head coaching tendencies. And when you get a locker room full of, it's cool to get a locker room full of gold jackets and all that. But when you fill a locker room with other, coaches that have head coaching tendencies, that creates a better locker room, if you ask me. If you see what we had before, the first D coordinator he had, short ball dude, hyper dude. He don't give off head coaching tendencies. The first offensive coordinator they had, he did give off head coaching tendencies. He's a head coach right now at San Diego State, actually, doing very well for himself. I don't think we ever should have got rid of him, to be honest, because he challenged Shedeur, he challenged Colorado, he challenged that offense in a good way. Pat Shermer, oh my God. Damn. Pat Shermer was bullshit from the jump. Pat Shermer has never had, he hasn't had a winning season as a coordinator or a head coach for like the last 10, 15 years. His only winning season as as an offensive coordinator or as a head coach was with Colorado when they went 9-4 that one season. The second season was Shedeur. Like, bro, Pat Shermer never should have been an option at offensive coordinator. He was never going to challenge Shedeur. He was never going to challenge the offense. He was never going to be innovative enough to advance the ball down the field. He was never, he ain't dragging nuts, man. You know that nigga not, man, bro. Pat Shermer is worthless, bro. Like, putting Pat Shermer in that position, bro, that shit was like, man, we gonna lose, man. Pat Shermer's a loser. Like, bro. I'm just being honest, man. And then getting D coordinator, Rob Livingston as D coordinator. Yeah, the move to get Rob Livingston looked cool. It looked cool. It looked like, all right, damn, Coach Prime doing his thing. Coach Prime could go to the NFL and get a guy from the NFL to come down to college football and coach down here and try to make his name down here. But Rob Livingston from the jump, you could tell he also was not the right guy for the job, man. He was not the right guy for the job. Good guy, wrong man. Good guy, wrong man. Straight up. So fast forward to who they got now, Chris Marv, man. Chris Marv, man. Hey, if you watch these clips, man, from Well Off Media, shout out Buck, shout out all them, man. Hey, look, Marv is on one. And I thank you from Memphis, Tennessee. God dang. Hey, I'm starting to see a couple of coaches. I'm starting to see we know the Dolph relation, but we starting to see like some kind of Memphis, Tennessee nucleus. Some kind of, you know what I'm saying, music. You know what I'm saying? We starting to see a certain type of Memphis, Tennessee nucleus. You know what I'm saying? And hey, I like it. I can't say I hate Memphis. I like it. I like it. Fuck it. Hey, fuck it. And them niggas coming in hard, man. Like, pause. Damn. Pause. But now on some real shit, man, like when you see Marv and you see his coaching tactics, you're like, oh nah. First of all, you looking at the players and you're like, oh nah, you better play for that, man. And I'm looking at him like, oh nah, he gonna make sure that these players play to their utmost fullest potential. And he not gonna allow them to slack. He's gonna hold them accountable. Something that Pat Shermer and Rob Livingston, I don't believe ever did to their capabilities, to what they really believe. See, that's my problem, is when you hire these guys that keep their mouth shut on shit they supposed to be talking about. How the fuck you get somebody some power and they don't know how to use it? That means you gave the wrong man power, man. Come on, man. You don't never get no nigga some power, man, that you know he don't know how to use it. Livingston never knew how to use his power. Pat Sherman never knew how to use his power. Bro, back-to-back losing seasons for the Giants. Back-to-back losing seasons for the Cleveland Browns. Come on, man. Only time he had a good season was when he was coordinator for somebody. We ain't gonna look into that shit, because that shit don't even matter at this point. We got Chris Marv as a new D coordinator for these Colorado Buffaloes. And let's go ahead and see what we got to say about him. Yeah, so entering Chris Marv, a coach whose personality and leadership style align seamlessly with what Deion Sanders demands from his staff. It's like, so what makes him good for the job? Intensity that players feel immediately. You know what I'm saying? We talked about that. The intensity that he come with, to me, it's unmatched. To me, it's like, he almost got something, you know what I'm saying? He almost got something that could probably like tick off, man. But hey, you need that, man. Like sometimes you need to show that to strike that engine for a lot of these guys on the football field, man. They gotta let them know, hey, it's time to go every time, man. We never taking off, man. Never taking off a rep. I like that. I like when my D coordinators are a little crazy. You know what I'm saying? I like when my coordinators in general got a couple screws loose, bruh. Murray, he got some screws loose, and you ain't gonna tell me nothing different. Bro got some screws loose, man. Slim out there, Slim a little crazy, man. Slim off something. He off something. We don't gotta talk about it, but the offensive coach, Murray, he off something, but in a good way. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, the intensity that players can feel immediately, his intensity don't gotta be questioned, and the intensity is unmatched for Chris Marv. He coaches with fire, the kind that elevates a defense's identity. He has a faith-driven, leadership. His spiritual groundness resonates deeply with players and aligns with the cultural tone of Deion Sanders and all that he sets. The authentic accountability, like we said before. Marv holds players to a high standard without losing their trust or respect. That's the biggest thing. I can say the first D coordinator that Deion had, he was very intense, but I don't believe the players respected his intensity and respected his approach to the game. You dig what I'm saying? And I can even say that for the offensive coordinator at that time. I don't feel like he was able to communicate with Shedeur, communicate with the offense in a way that they would reciprocate that and show respect back. Chris Marv, everything he does comes off looking authentic. comes off looking like, you know, he has expectations of you just as he does of himself. So like I said, he knows how to hold players to that high standard without losing the respect and the trust. You know, the ability to reach players on a deeper level. He connects emotionally, mentally, and competitively. That shit is real, man. That shit is real when you got a defensive coordinator. That shit is real when you're trying to change a locker room, when you're trying to change an organization, when you're trying to change a school. You know what I'm saying? So that's something that the Colorado Buffaloes locker room really needs. You know, Marv doesn't just coach the defense, he ignites it. He ignites the defense. You know, his energy matches the lights, cameras, and expectations that come with being part of Coach Prime's program. You know, so the bigger picture in all this is just saying that, you know, Rob Livingston leaves Colorado with respect and goodwill. Shout out to you, Coach. Like I said, good guy, good coach, wrong man. You know, a solid coach and a better person who now steps into a role that suits him perfectly in Denver. Go do your thing, bro. But CU and the Colorado Buffaloes, Chris Marve represents the exact type of leader needed to elevate the defense in a high visibility, high pressure environment. And that's Chris Marve, man. And that's Chris Marve, man. And shout out to the Colorado Buffaloes. Shout out Deion Sanders. Shout out Buck for the footage, man. Shout out Chris Marve for, you know, taking the stepping stones, man, and getting to this point where I don't think he's gonna let this shit slip through his fingers, man. I think he gonna come in with this shit and he gonna really elevate this program, elevate that defense to a new level. He came in as being the linebackers coach from the rip. I saw him, I'm like, all right, dude got head coaching. He got head coaching tendencies, bro. All of a sudden, you know, one man leaves because he feel like he got a bigger opportunity somewhere. Hey, one man's trash is another man's trust. You just got everything's about timing, man. You go from being a linebackers coach to now D coordinator, bro. I know that check different, man. Hey, man, shout out Chris Marve, shout out the Colorado Buffaloes, man. We ready for the 2026 season, man. The season has already started. Spring ball has started. We about to go ahead and do some videos on the spring ball. We about to see what really the fuck going on in this bitch, man. Hey, let's get it, man. It's football season, man. Hey, if you got this far, I appreciate you watching the video. It's that man, Abu. It's Brother Man. Thank you for watching Paint Points. Like, comment, subscribe, and beat up the comment section, man. Let me know what y'all want to see, what kind of angles you want us to approach, and we get better from there, man. Like, comment, subscribe. Like I said, let's go.